an away game, but it's only 3 miles away. How do you treat this in terms of like your pregame protocol? Do you guys stay in a hotel like it's a normal away game and shoot around there?
We do. We stay off campus. We try to stick to the same type of game plan that we do every time we play. You know, sometimes when you play on an opponent's floor and it's a away game, access to the gym at maybe the time that you're accustomed to at home is different. But for the most part, we try to go 5 hours, before game time, having a shoot around, 4 hours pregame meal, and we get to the arena generally a couple hours before we play.
When you scout this UC team this year, how much different do they look maybe right now as opposed to the last year or last 2 years?
Well, they're different offensively because I think they're more versatile. They have guys that can score the ball at every position. They have some really nice role players off the bench. I mean, they're more of a complete team maybe than Mix had offensively. I don't see much difference on the defensive end. I mean, they're a Cincinnati team through and through. They defend, they block shots, they steal the ball, they rebound at a high level, they play with great effort on the defensive end. So, that's always a major storyline and a major theme for our team is being able to handle their pressure, their activity on the defensive end.
We talked with Brad Redford the other night and about your success in this rivalry, and he said it's about your preparation. Do you prepare maybe a little more intensely for this game, or is it just kind of like any other game for you?
I think Brad's being kind. I mean that. I think the game is so often settled by the players on the floor. I've said it in the past, and I think it bears repeating. It's a player's game. There are times when guys can't hear coaching instructions. Guys just have to make a basketball play. And I want our players to play with great freedom. I want them to play an attacking, mindset, have an attacking mindset. But to think that, my record or Mick's record has anything to do with the game, I think is completely off base.
Would you say, kind of going off of that, other than wins and losses, would you say are there any material consequences for the outcome of this game, say like in recruiting?
No, not really. We don't recruit a lot of the same guys for whatever reason. I mean, it happens from time to time. We tried to get on Kyle Washington and, weren't successful. And there have been some guys that have landed here at Xavier that I know Mick's looked at. But for the most part, we don't run into each other in recruiting as much as you would think. Plus high school kids, they could care less. I know it's hard to believe in the city of Cincinnati that people care less about who wins or loses the game, but there are some high school players that both programs are recruiting that don't even know we play the game.
We like to talk about how the rivalry has evolved. Certain times have been, more passionate or less passionate. You've obviously been here your whole life. How much has it evolved? How different is this game tomorrow from any game in the last 50 years of shootouts?
It's a very difficult question for me to answer, honestly, Paul, because you feel like you're when you're in the game, whether you're a coach or whether you're a player, manager, athletic trainer, you're in this bubble. I come to Cintas every day, and I worry about practice and our players, and so you don't really get an overall sense of what the game feels like, around the community. I know what it felt like when I wasn't really a part of the program those few years that after graduation and before I came here. I think it says a lot about both programs that for the last 2 years, we've been in the top 25 and they've been in the top 25. So it's a game that, while two really good teams are battling, it's not the David and Goliath game that maybe it used to be. It means a lot for both teams because it's a big-time quality win for whoever ends up winning the shootout. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how I feel about it.
Chris, as someone who has played in this game and coached in this game, how do you impart kind of what to expect to guys like Malcolm or even Rashid, who's seen it but hasn't played in it?
Yeah, I didn't play in it too much. I would say a lot of that falls on our players. there's not a game on our schedule that I don't quote unquote worry about, that my staff and me included don't prepare as hard as we can and try to know every action the other team's running and where their strengths are and weaknesses. And Cincinnati to us is no different. But the excitement surrounding the game is different. And I think guys get a better sense from their teammates maybe than they do from their coaches when it comes to that type of feel.
When you look at their front court, you mentioned Kyle Washington, Gary Clark. What kind of challenges do they present specifically?
A lot. You know, what sticks out is their size and their ability to rebound the ball, you know, especially on the offensive end, because that's where it becomes dangerous for you is, you know, when they're getting second, third opportunities, puts you in foul trouble, adds cheap points to their side of the ledger. So for us, making sure that they don't get second shots is imperative. Secondarily, they're both really good passers. They can both score. Gary Clark has become a much improved shooter from the perimeter, much more confident shooter. Both of those guys can stretch you to the three-point line, which, again, draws your bigs out on the floor, and they look for one another. A lot of teams have opted to post-trap one or both, and they've handled it really well. They found the open man. UC does a really good job of getting the ball from one side of the floor, getting it out of the trap to the other. And that's what you want to teach, and they're doing a great job of it. So there are a lot of problems that those two present, and they're a focal point. So we have to be on it.
Chris, if someone outside of Cincinnati or maybe didn't know the rivalry were asking about what the Crosstown Shootout is like as a player, as a coach, how would you describe it?
I'd probably pick out a rivalry that they would know and understand, and tell them times two. You know, I guess unless you're from the city or you've really been in the game or you've come to a couple shootouts or maybe you're a transplant and you've watched it over the years, I don't think you get a great appreciation. There's such an excitement level when you're a player and you walk out there an hour and a half before the game. You can feel the buzz in every possession. You know, it feels like Armageddon. And, you know, it's always interesting when you go back as a coach and you watch like last year's shootout. For us to see, okay, how did they attack this? How did they attack that? What were they trying to attack against us? So you watch last year's game film, and it seems so calm. It doesn't seem very electric. It feels like, you know, both teams are just playing basketball, but it doesn't feel that way when you tip it up tomorrow night at 7.
Do you hear a lot from former players this week?
A few, not as much as you'd think. I hear from them different times a year. A lot of our former players are playing overseas. I'll get an email here and there, but not out of the ordinary.
Tyreek said that patella tendon strain. How's he doing?
He's doing fine. Like I said before, you know, days that it bothers him more than others, and you know, we just have to manage it as best we can. But he wants to, you know, keep giving it a go, and you know, he laces him up every day for practice. And he's a tough kid. So, you know, he's managing it. I mean, if you want, why don't you show the teams that are on the bubble? I mean, that's more intrigue. That's all people care about. Are they getting in and they getting out? Who cares if Kentucky's a 1 seed or a 2 seed? Especially when it's a month away.